Hello, everybody. Welcome to another Comic Source Comic Boom collaboration. This is our spotlight on Dark Crisis. I don't know that we will do a separate spotlight for every single issue of Dark Crisis. DC actually just announced more tie-ins, so it's up to I don't even know how many books now. They're in the back of every DC book. I guess I could look really fast. In the back of every DC book this month, or this week anyway, there is a Dark Crisis checklist, and so. It is a big event. It's going to run throughout the remainder of the year. So Rocky and I thought it would be probably fortuitous for us to do separate Dark Crisis, or maybe people that only are going to read Dark Crisis and read a bunch of other DC stuff, or maybe you're just curious, hey, what is this Dark Crisis about? So let's see. We've got 4, 8, 12, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23 issues starting last month in May with Justice League Road to Dark Crisis, which we covered and mentioned that it, maybe didn't need to be read 100% if you want to jump into Dark Crisis. But first week of June here, June 6th, as we're recording this, June 7th, as it's released, Dark Crisis #1. And then there's a bunch of tie-ins. So we'll probably do at least the regular Dark Crisis series, each of those issues, as its own independent spotlight. I imagine a lot of the other stuff we might do as well, but maybe we're not going to do an episode for every one. But for example, Dark Crisis, Young Justice #1, and The Flash #783 are the other tie-ins for June. Hopefully, they'll come out in the same week, and we can just cover them in one episode. So, all that to say, Comic Boom and Comic Source will be your one-stop shop for all your Dark Crisis needs. We'll do it separate from the regular DC spotlight. But if you want to know about the regular DC stuff, we do have our regular spotlight where we'll go in depth on all the other books that were released today, except for Pride. Pride will get its own just because it's so many. It's over 100 pages. It's so many stories. Rather than making the regular DC spotlight longer, we'll do Pride separately. So and that'll probably be out Wednesday. So that being said, Rocky, what did you think of Dark Crisis #1?
Well, first I want to give a shout out to the cover. I actually like the cover. I thought the cover was pretty cool. I liked it. It's a nice, it looks like it's going to be a double fold away cover. I don't mind that. This has been teased for quite a while. We've gotten teaser images of this Dark Crisis #1 by Joshua Williamson for, I think it's been a couple of months going on already. And I thought this was a little bit underwhelming, to be completely honest. But I think the art is beautiful. The art is beautiful. It starts off with the sort of like a giant, like a memorial service for the fallen, for the death of the Justice League that we saw in Justice League 75. Of course, John Kent and Yara Flor and all the legacy characters, all the Teen Titans. Everyone is showing up for this funeral. Really, it's a beautiful double page spread. Nightwing, of course, is giving the service, and Nightwing, of course, was in the road to Dark Crisis. Sorry, the road to Dark Crisis. Nightwing agreed to give a speech. He agreed with John Kent, and the road to Dark Crisis had them meeting and talking about the loss of the Justice League. And so this is where this starts off. This entire issue was really about John Kent trying to form a new Justice League. What's happened is that the Justice League is dead, and strangely enough, and this is one of my minor criticisms of this issue, is we've had this. It feels, this issue, that the world doesn't really kind of appreciate that the Justice League is dead, and it doesn't really feel that there's a lot of gravitas to the loss, and it's. All we know is that all the criminals, all the supervillains are really acting up all over the world. John Kent has noticed it, and of course Wally West has noticed it, and all the various members of the Justice League have noticed that there's a lot of chaos happening all over the world, and that people are crying that the world will be swallowed by darkness. And of course, there's various villains are talking about the Great Darkness, but strangely enough, Dr. Fate can't find any evidence that of the Great Darkness battling the Justice League. Green Lantern comes back again from his conversation with Jackson Hyde in the road to Dark Crisis, and he basically wants to find out what's going on. Where's the Justice League? He's told that they're all dead, and then when John Kent takes him in front of Black Adam, well, Black Adam basically summarizes the events, saying, we went to fight this dark army, and I called in the lightning to take out Pariah, and then all of a sudden, boom, we were all gone, but I saw the Justice League die, and they are definitely dead. Hal Jordan immediately, and perhaps rightly so, given his distrust of Black Adam, because Black Adam has traditionally been a villain, he calls into question saying, why do you trust Black Adam? And of course, Hal Jordan's been gone for a while, and we know that for those of us who've been reading Green Lantern. He's been gone. Hal Jordan's been off Earth for a while, so he doesn't realize or perhaps appreciate that Black Adam has sort of, at least since Future State, Dark Adam has taken on more of a good guy role, and that good guy role of Black Adam has been built upon in Bendis's Justice League, leading into the death of the Justice League in issue 75 of Justice League. So he expresses some serious doubt. Meanwhile, John Kent, there's beautiful imagery of him staring at these giant statues that have already been put up. I mean, I don't know. I guess they've only been dead a week or 4 days, 5 days. I'm not clear how long it's been since they've been dead.
I think those were there before they died, even.
Were they?
I think so.
Okay.
I want to say that we saw them previously, but yeah, I mean, either way, it is
fair.
good. Yeah, it is great art, especially that final panel with the sun. On John's face. So you got to give a lot of credit, not just for the line work of Daniel Sampere, but the colors of Alejandro Sanchez. Fantastic work.
Yeah, I agree. The art here really is fantastic, and this is a beautifully put together comic book. And I will say this: I actually enjoyed. I like there's a scene where John Kent flies and actually tries to recruit Yara Flor, Wonder Girl, to join a new Justice League that he's forming, and he meets Jerry, her flying Pegasus horse, and she kind of like almost takes offense that Jerry obviously likes him, because everybody loves John Kent, everybody loves a Superman, and he tries to recruit her, but Yara Flor feels it's more important that she stays to take care of her Amazons and take care of the rainforest in Brazil. And I was a little bit surprised at how much difficulty John Kent faced trying to put together a new Justice League. I'm astonished that does nobody know that? I mean, I thought was it not common knowledge that the Great Darkness was a threat? And I guess it wasn't. And that's one of the, I think within the continuity of the story, one of the things that really stands out here is that when you and I have reviewed, obviously, DC all year, it actually is true that each individual DC title, no one ever talked about the Dark Crisis. And we had Infinite Frontier going into Justice League Incarnate, but that seemed to be isolated and on its own. They were doing their own thing. And the only one that was part of that was Barry Allen. And no one seems to care about Barry Allen. I mean,
it's what I've talked about it so much about how this leading into this Dark Crisis, it doesn't feel important because it feels so disconnected. And if it's really a story, I mean, again, I talked about this so many times. If it's really a story that's going to affect the future of the DCU, why isn't it tying into more things? In a way, it's sort of meta, and it goes into why I felt this was a little underwhelming as well. It's meta in that, okay, the Justice League is dead, but you're right, it really seem to have much impact. In fact, we talked about Road to Dark Crisis, the one shot that we've had so far, being more of, it should have been like Death of the Justice League epilogue, because all the stories were about the impact of the supposed death of the Justice League. But even in those, it's like everybody's saying, well, they're gone for now. And where it gets meta is, we know in comics these characters are, worth a lot of money to their respective publishing houses, and so they're not going to be gone forever because you're not going to kill your golden goose. So even within in-universe continuity, they're like, they're not really dead. It goes to what you were saying about John Kent having trouble recruiting. I wasn't really surprised by it, only because when Joshua Williamson was on the show, he goes, there's not going to be a new Justice League that's put together. You can argue whether that's the case or not, but I wasn't really surprised that John had a hard time, because the people are like, they're not really gone. Damian comes out and really says it. My father's not dead, right? Like, he knows these heroes are going to come back. And so all the rest of the heroes he tries to recruit, they're like, the Justice League will be back eventually. So why do we need to form a new Justice League just to get kicked out later
Yeah,
or what have you? But you're right. One of the things that we are really starkly reminded of is, yeah, this great darkness. It not only is it not common knowledge to like the average DC universe citizen, it's not even common knowledge amongst the heroes. That
yeah,
and to your point, yeah, that it sounds like Barry or Wally West rather is going to go out looking. Right, that's what Hal tells him. Go find the crime scene. They need to go out and find this great darkness. So, I mean, part of the like, please tell me if you disagree, Rocky. But to me, this issue felt a lot like setup. This issue should have been called Road to Dark Crisis
yeah,
rather than that anthology we got, because it doesn't, at least to me, it doesn't feel like the Dark Crisis has started yet based on this issue. We
yeah.
don't even see we see Pariah briefly. We don't even see his Dark Army. We don't see the great darkness, whatever that is, if it's going to be embodied or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
It was weird.
yeah. And
Anyway,
it
I didn't mean to interrupt your
no,
recap. Go ahead.
that's no. I appreciate that because you reinforce my own feeling, and and I guess it's frustrating myself personally. I've bitched about the Wonder Woman angle of this for a long time. I thought the whole reason Wonder Woman came back was to deal with the lurking threat that was the Great Darkness. And so this has been something that's been building for an entire year, and here we get to this first issue, and nobody seems to really care about it. And they're even doubting Dr. Fate. Everyone seems to be literally in the dark. Are you serious? I mean, Darkseid was a major threat. Justice League Incarnate never even bothered to tell the Justice League until the last minute that, by the way, we have this great darkness. Nobody is on monitor duty. You mean the Justice League just took off in Justice League 75 and never left a memo and said, by the way, we're going to fight it? You know, it just, I know things happen so quickly, but it just seemed really, really odd here. But in any ways, we won't belabor the point. Suffice to say that John Kent here is moving to he's moving to try to recruit as many members as he can. And he try. Yara Flora says no. He then talks to Jace Fox, who is the Batman of New York City, and he's not interested in joining. And he's very so. I mean, he's doing his own thing. So nobody. Again, he's having a very hard time here. And I'll be blunt. You know, at the end here, you know, Superboy or I call him Superboy. John Kent manages to put together a really odd, eclectic team here, and I find it funny. Dr. Light right away is in. Swamp Thing says no. And I would think, why would Swamp Thing say no? Doesn't Swamp Thing know that there's a great darkness? Does even Swamp Thing not aware that there's great dark? That's really surprising to me. Harley says, really? I mean, most people are thinking the same thing. Harley Quinn in the Justice League, really? This seems very haphazard. Killer Frost, even Supergirl, I don't know, I just got back. Like, as if Supergirl would say no. Superman is dead, your cousin is dead, and you're going to sit there while your dog licks your face and you're all happy and gleeful and you're going to say no? I mean, I don't know. Again, it's just, I realize it was just a rendering, but just a rendering, but it seems, everything about this seems a little bit off. And then even, I thought an interesting, Firestorm says I can't after, I'm not sure if Firestorm is referring to Doomsday Clock. He's rolling Doomsday Clock in Russia. Of course, we got Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. They're definitely in. Naomi feels guilty for not being there. Shazam expressing distrust in Black Adam. I'm not sure why he would, because he trusts Black Adam now, or certainly the younger version of Black Adam. But in any event, things, being a little bit harsh here, I have to admit that maybe there's slim pickings now with the Justice League being eliminated. This new Justice League, or what John Kent calls the new Justice League, and as you said, Joshua Williamson said that there is not going to be a new Justice League. Well, I guess there is going to be a new Justice League. I don't know if that's misdirection or not, but to have Killer Frost, Supergirl, Dr. Light, Frankenstein, Booster Gold, Blue Beetle, Harley Quinn, Jackson Hyde, and Damian on a team, that's a cool, interesting team. And I suppose that's all you got left. I mean, it's something. I have to admit, I am a little bit curious to see what happens with it. Black Adam rightfully, and maybe Black Adam's kind of a dick. He kind of tells John Kent, like, you're too young. You don't know what you're doing. You can't lead. We all know who has to be the leader here. And then, of course, who is he talking about? He's talking about Nightwing, Dick Grayson. And I think most fans, most readers would 100% agree with that. If we're looking for a leader and Batman's not there, that the hero that everyone loves in the DC universe right now, who is probably the ultimate symbol of hope, both within the continuity and even outside, thanks to Tom Taylor's Nightwing run, it's going to be Dick Grayson. And so it's appropriate that Dick Grayson comes to the table. And that's probably I think in terms of my heart, in my heart, that's where my heart's with Dick Grayson here. And I really like that. There's a reference here. Dick Grayson is obviously like Teen Titans Academy. The most exciting part of this issue, though, is Deathstroke getting all the supervillains. We remember that Deathstroke was resurrected from the Lazarus pit. He was killed by Talia in Shadow War. He was resurrected, and whether he's been corrupted a little bit in his mind, he's now sick and tired of dealing with the Titans and his enemies, and he just wants to wipe them out. And he gets all his secret society of supervillains, and he attacks Titan's Tower. And he's taken no prisoners, and probably in the most the death that everyone will be talking about is going to be he actually kills Beast Boy, shoots him right in the head, takes him out. And the shocking thing about that is that in Tim Sheridan's run in Teen Titans Academy, Changeling Beast Boy is merged with Cyborg. They're psychologically merged, and it never did make sense because Tim Sheridan did a really bad job with Teen Titans Academy. We know that Raven somehow made it appear that Cyborg and Beast Boy were separate entities, even though they're not. I didn't understand it. It was never explained. It was terribly explained. I don't know how Beast Boy can be shot and killed. Does this mean Cyborg is dead as well? I don't know. But I'm wondering if Joshua Williamson even had any idea of the gong show that Tim Sheridan created in Teen Titans Academy, because Beast Boy and Cyborg are psychologically, or they're tied up in the same body, is my understanding, unless you can tell me different. But this really I found really, really baffling. And so unfortunately, the big death in this issue, the death of Beast Boy, is completely convoluted for anybody who was reading Teen Titans Academy. And it's really, really unfortunate. And I don't think it bodes well at all, but it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. In the meantime,
well, I kind of thought maybe that was how they're going to get around. Like, he's not actually dead because he shot a hologram. Maybe. I don't.
That's a good point. Yeah, you make actually a good point. Maybe he's not really. Fair enough. You know what? Maybe because they have that hybrid, maybe that was all planned by Tim Sheridan. So sure. It seems really.
I would think it would be more. This is Joshua Williamson making the best out of what Tim Sheridan did. Again, I'm not. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's just that to be fair, he holds the gun to his head, and then we get that last panel where it just says bang. We don't actually see it happen, so typical cliffhanger type of comic thing.
That's right. Although I do say though, I think that's cheap theatrics. So because it was such a stupid thing to do with Beast Boy and Changeling at the end of Teen Titans Academy, and if the sole reason they did that was to have misdirection at the death of Beast Boy here, shame on them. It's so disappointing. I mean. Good, wouldn't it be nice if somebody actually died and stayed dead? I mean, and let's be full disclosure here. I would not lose sleep if Beast Boy never came back. If they killed off Terra Malkarth, why not kill off Beast Boy? Let Deathstroke have his revenge. Who's going to miss Beast Boy? Raven? Come on. A Raven can, find a piece of tail anywhere else. I mean, it really, she might as well do Cyborg, right? Because they're, his Beast Boy's consciousness can survive in a machine. Why not? But I digress. It ends with Pariah. It shows a fanatical Pariah, presumably somewhere in the great darkness that not even Dr. Fate can detect. And he's saying that I'll use the deaths of the Justice League to destroy the multiverse. And I'm not sure how he can do that. How can he, how will Pariah weaponize the death of the Justice League we're not really sure. I'm not sure how it can do that. How does the death of the Justice League somehow become weaponized? That's of course the secret that we're gonna have to wait to see. But overall, I was a little bit underwhelmed at the beginning. I uh, I thought the death was a was tainted by Teen Titans Academy, but at least we're off to the races now, and I do think that this is actually new reader friendly. Dare I say? I think this is easy to catch on to. I don't think it's that convoluted. Some positive things. If somebody wants to come in for a crisis here, I think that this is not bad. You don't need to read Road to Dark Crisis to get into this. I think this is new reader friendly. I think the art's fantastic. I think it's relatively straightforward enough. And Joshua Williamson has got my faith because he had some pretty cool cliffhanger moments through Infinite Frontier and Justice League Incarnate. He had a lot of fun with that, with various issues. It was unpredictable. It was all over the place. And so I'm expecting big things here, and I'm hoping it gets better than this, but he's just setting the stage here, so I'm going to cut him some slack.
Yeah, I mean, again, a first issue is always hard to do, and you're right. This is new reader friendly. You know what? For all my love that I have for it, and for the fact that it's a seminal work, especially if you want to be a true DC Comics fan, you got to read Crisis on Infinite Earth. I remember reading it back in the day, and I was a pretty big DC fan. Certainly, I didn't have the pocketbook back then when I was whatever 12 years old to be buying every DC comic, but uh, I felt like I was a pretty big DC fan, and I wouldn't say it was. I understood it, but I wouldn't say it was new reader friendly. That first Crisis on Infinite Earths is
Yeah,
dense,
that's true.
uh, but it was so exciting. It felt so big and epic in scope. This doesn't. This feels like setup, and it is new reader friendly, and it feels like setup, and it doesn't feel, super big in scope, and that's okay, I guess. Um, but it does lend to that feeling of this is a little underwhelming. So, I'm not. I wouldn't go so far as to say it's not worth reading or anything like that, but um, yeah, it kind of felt like it was only okay. At least narratively. As far as the story goes, or the art goes rather, I mean it's absolutely fantastic. It's so good. We knew that Daniel Sampere was on something big. He said as much when he was on the show last time, and we can understand why he needed a bit of a head start because yeah, the work that he's done here is really really good. So um, it just even and I we say it's set up, but even though it's set up, I mean you want it to be something where it's going to really excite you for what comes next, and I don't know that it does that really really well, you know. Um, so again, it's only okay narratively. Um, so and I don't know how you really would make it better, other than call it a prelude rather than saying it's issue one of the series. Um, maybe you
Yeah.
call it, hey, this is just the prelude. There's much more interesting parts of the story to come. I don't know. It's yeah.
Yeah. Well, like I say, it's a little bit. It's kind of meh. What's funny is that I actually, when I went back and I looked, I thought the first issue of Infinite Frontier really enticed me and was pretty good, and the first issue of Justice League Incarnate whet my appetite, and yet this first issue of Dark Crisis, maybe it's because it's setting the stage a little bit, does feel a little bit underwhelming. But he is sort of putting the pieces in play. The Justice League did die. He's trying to set the pieces in place and what have you. But there was surprisingly very little with other than the fact that Pariah is at the end of it. There's really no reference. There's really no visual reference of what the Great Darkness is in this opening issue. So people who are maybe just reading Marvel and are coming over to check out a DC Crisis for the first time in a while, in a year, Dark Crisis. There's no, other than on the cover. Well, what's the Dark Army? What's this Great Darkness? I mean, even the heroes don't know. Well, we've been talking about this for like a year already. And this opening issue, the entire DC universe, mainstream DC universe, doesn't really seem to know about a Dark Crisis, and it just seems kind of like seriously, it seems very kind of shocking. So in that way, it just feels a little bit off that way. It feels like it was maybe written at an earlier time. And but in any event, I mean, I'm hoping it builds because it is again, it's easy to follow, it's easy to sort of catch on to at this point. But I really hope it picks up the adrenaline rush.
Yeah, I mean, again, it just we only get 7 issues, and this is the first issue, and really not that much happens other than John trying to recruit a new league, and maybe it's because it's kind of interesting who he gets. You alluded to that. It's not exactly what you would consider A-listers, and maybe that's why it feels sort of underwhelming or sort of jokey. Um, but yeah, it just feels a little strange. Uh, and another thing that's interesting, some people may not know this. So there was some images that leaked of that page that's on. If you're watching this on YouTube, where John's there announcing the new Justice League, and this was a few months ago. And when it first leaked, that image of Supergirl in the upper left corner was Mary Marvel, and it got changed just recently, obviously before release. And you wonder, well, there's a new Shazam series that's coming up later this year, starring Mary Marvel rather than Billy Batson, and so you wonder if is that why they made the change. I think it's a more interesting team with Mary Marvel, if only because we've gotten so many fewer stories with her than with Kara.
Yeah.
But I just thought, I thought I would mention it. But you know what? Really, Daniel Sampere art is so good that I feel like that's worth the price of admission.
Yeah.
Just it's worth picking this up just for that. So
Yeah. I'll add one final thing, and that is that if uh, if they are aware that a great dark army or great darkness has killed the Justice League, I cannot believe that. I mean, if the Justice League inspires so many heroes, very clearly they're not an inspiration enough for enough heroes to step up to the plate. The fact that only these heroes, and that you got to get somebody like Harley Quinn, like somebody who suffers from who's mentally ill, the fact that you can only get this group of people to step up to the plate to be the new Justice League. Is that really what the Trinity inspires? Is that really what the Big Seven inspired? Was just this? I mean, what does it take to get them to really come together? So, in one respect, this is extremely sort of underwhelming, and like because when you think about it, this is astonishingly disappointing. I mean, this would be a toss up. I honestly, I would probably taking the members of Teen Titans Academy and putting them against this new Justice League. I think it might be a toss up. I mean, whatever. I mean, maybe I'm being a little bit harsh here, but I mean, come on. And I have to say this. Supergirl's costume is awful. I mean, why are they changing her costume and giving her a full body out? Why? Why? She's gorgeous with I mean, I don't know. I don't like her new outfit. Where'd the new outfit come from? But anyways, that's me nitpicking there. But I mean, Supergirl has to wear I want her to wear the shorts or the skirt. Not this. I think they're going for the CW look, which is even worse. And I just find it very unfortunate. But it's, I guess, another example of sort of trying to connect the different the TV to the comics. But that's my nitpick.
yeah, I guess we'll see what happens when the next issue drops. I gotta think you gotta again. I go back to that original Crisis and just how fast paced it was and how quickly everything was happening, and this just feels a little beyond just not much happening other than John recruiting the team. Like the pace is kind of slow as well. So we'll see what the next. I mean, but I'm intrigued. Like I want to know what's going to happen. Like what is the Dark Crisis? What how, like you said, maybe the most intriguing part is this idea of Pariah weaponizing the death of the Justice League. I'm very curious about that. Well, how's he going to use the death of the Justice League as a way to destroy the multiverse? Like it doesn't really make much sense. But
Yeah.
I guess we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, we shall.
All right. Any final thoughts, Rocky?
Well, no, I'm really curious to see what this new Justice League's going to do. They honestly, I like Frankenstein. He's cool, but I don't find it particularly impressive. I do note that in one of the alternate covers for Dark Crisis #1, the cover suggests that there might be some romance between Killer Frost and Frankenstein. I know that's just a cover. It's a cover where Frankenstein is giving Killer Frost a flower. It seems really, really odd, but there you have it. Killer Frost goes from, I thought she had a relationship with Ryan Choi, the Atom, but now she goes from the Atom to Frankenstein. That's quite a difference of boyfriends. But in any event, Killer Frost can sleep with who she wants to in this. It's the DC universe. I mean, it's LGBTQ and pride and everything. So Killer Frost wants to sleep with Frankenstein. So be it. But I'm looking forward to see where this goes. I do think this was underwhelming, and fingers crossed that this gets better.
Yeah, I mean, I trust Joshua Williamson. I think it will. But again, I think this should have been Road to Dark Crisis, because there just wasn't that much that happened. But as far as covers go, there and I referenced the original, and still the best Crisis in my mind, Crisis on Infinite Earths. There is cover C from Jim Lee, actually, where it's kind of an homage cover. So I'm definitely picking up that one. But there's tons of other great covers as well. There's so many great covers for this. I'm gonna struggle not to get too many of them, I think, because how many covers do you really need? I'll probably end up picking up 2 or 3. Yeah, this one, the one of Pariah, which is an incentive cover, which is painted by, I think, Stephen Beach, I think is the artist's name, is fantastic as well. Where Pariah is just kind of looking up, screaming, and just all this darkness is like boiling out of his eyes. Just fantastic looking. So I'll have to probably pick that one up as well.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's going to do it for this episode, everybody. Don't forget to listen to our regular DC Spotlight with the rest of the books, except for Pride, which will be its own separate episode, probably coming out on Wednesday. Don't forget, if you're listening to us audio only, be sure you head over to YouTube and subscribe to Rocky's channel. Just do a search for Comic Space Boom ! Make sure you like this video, ring the notification bell, subscribe so you know when new content comes out. Conversely, if you always check us out on YouTube and you're curious about the other content that's coming out, the audio only content from the Comic Source, go ahead and search for the Comic Source on your favorite podcasting platform or app, and you'll find us, and just hit that subscribe button. Got some pretty cool interviews coming up, specifically for some Skybound YA stuff, so you're not going to want to miss it. So appreciate everybody joining. Don't forget to listen to the other episode, DC Spotlight, today, and we'll talk to you next time.
See you later.